Hello and welcome to another IELTS essay discussion. Let me call it discussion rather than correction. I'll be discussing a few points. Point number 1, 2, 3, 4, a related point to point number 2, and point number 5. So these are main things we're going to discuss. The question is the growing number of overweight people is putting a strain, a pressure on existing healthcare system due to something strange over here. The student didn't write the question correctly due to some issues. Some people think that the best way to deal with this problem is to introduce more physical education lessons in the school curriculum. So on one hand, we have overweight people. And obviously, overweight people put a strain, put a pressure on the healthcare system. And you have to think about the exact nature of that pressure. Perhaps overweight people suffer from a few diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, um, joint pains, or in some cases can have a serious heart attack. So they create a pressure on the healthcare system. And how is that pressure created? More people falling sick, not because of some contingency, but because of something which is in their own control, their own weight. So they are creating pressure, they are occupying space, and they are consuming some health related subsidy. So you have to be clear about what exactly is the meaning of pressure on health care. Now, the solution proposed is that physical education in schools can address this. Now remember, children are not falling sick due to overweight. I mean, they are in few cases. However, mostly these are adults. So how does physical education in school address that? You have to address the pressure point, not the benefits of physical education, but how physical education addresses pressure on healthcare. With that in mind, you have to write an answer. Brainstorm the topic, brainstorm the ideas accordingly. So let me come to the first point, and I will not be discussing the ideas here. My point is to discuss the mistakes. Firstly, the student writes, this essay agrees. Don't do this. This essay agrees. The question is, to what extent do you agree or disagree? The question never says, to what extent the essay agrees or disagrees. The question is addressed to you. So stick with yourself. I believe I am in perfect agreement with this viewpoint. Something like that brings you into picture. And then you need to mention, here, mention the reasons supporting your viewpoint. The reasons you wish to discuss in body paragraph 1 and in body paragraph 2. Okay, so you need to mention the reasons. For instance, I mentioned I agree with this statement since physical education not only but also that's a construction that promotes cohesion. Not only creates lifelong habit, but also sends a message of fitness to students' parents. So this is where I'm linking schools' physical education to the healthcare system. At a later stage, when the children grow up, they will have a habit of staying fit. So as adults, they will not be overweight. And it also sends a message of fitness to students' parents. So you are addressing the problem of overweight among adults. Now, the adults is nowhere written in the question, it's about people. So it includes adults as well as children. But how can physical education in schools address, overweight issue for everyone? It is through these two channels. These are my points. You can have different viewpoint. Now let us come to the point number 2. Point number 1 is addressed. So don't write this essay and mention the reasons. Point number 2. The student writes the idea of here. The first and the foremost is that it teaches pupils to choose right balance between studies and physical activities. So the student is talking about the optimum balance between the two domains of education, academics, and physical activity. So you keep your body and your mind sound, fit. The problem is in connecting with the next idea. The next sentence should be an explanation of the first sentence. The first one is the idea, so there should be a logical flow. He has directly written students are lesser prone to chronic diseases and disorders. So, how are they lesser prone to chronic diseases and disorders? So that idea is not clear. Let me change the color of the pen. Yeah, this one seems fine. Um, Lesser prone to chronic diseases and disorders. How? What is making them lesser prone to chronic diseases and disorders? So you have to add due to this, due to what? A balance between studies and physical activities is making them lesser prone to chronic diseases and disorders. And what is this doing additionally? This refers back to the balance. So this is a cohesive device. Don't forget to use referencing words as cohesive device. And this creates that this again repeated refers back to the balance, creates a lifelong habit to stay healthy. Again, coming back to this point. For instance, in 2016, we'll come to point number 3. The University of Cambridge found in a research that students who were involved in physical activities were 95% healthier than their fellow colleagues in adulthood. Now, the point is, you have not addressed how it reduces pressure on healthcare. So you have to address this issue. You have to address how it reduces the cost of healthcare. So this you have to write that they are less prone to diseases that are not contingency related, or diseases which the government subsidizes, and they are lesser of a burden on the exchequer, on the government, on the healthcare system. Just you need to mention that to retain your context. The ideas are fine. They just need to be put in better context by just writing a simple line that this will reduce the pressure, the financial and personal pressure on healthcare system. There's that. Now, something related to point number 2. Let me come over here. These two are related. Here, there was a logical flow. There was a lack of logical flow. So there was lack of connectivity with the previous idea. Something similar goes on here. The student writes, the higher the health-related problems, it should be different. The more resources must be allocated to build additional hospitals and related facilities needed to diagnose and examine people. Now, physical education can significantly reduce the need for it. Okay, this is fine. However, you have to mention how the health-related problems are sapping the resources. The point here is the student talks about how the health problems, they consume resources. Okay, now they are consuming resources, that's fine, but the question is that you need to reduce pressure on healthcare, and physical education can reduce it. But what is the nature of that pressure? They're consuming resources, but what is the extent of that consumption? Perhaps they're crowding out resources from other areas of business and welfare, such as pensions, defense, infrastructure, health, security. Okay, so it is absorbing resources from other areas. And how can physical education help? It can reduce the need for financial and personal resources the healthcare industry demands. And this will prevent the crowding out of investments from other areas. So this is another point which shows that there is lack of logical flow of ideas. Things are not connected seamlessly. Coming to point number 4, this is about lack of expression of ideas. The student writes, each government has a limited amount of resources with unlimited needs. Of course, the resources cannot have unlimited needs. Each government has unlimited needs and has a limited amount of resources. That would have been better. So put unlimited needs with the government, not with resources. However, the context here is something different. What are the unlimited needs? It's better to write a clear, specific response. So what are the needs? And these are needs in various domains such as security, defense, infrastructure, health, education. So you need to clearly write the ideas. Idea here needs to be specific. There should be no scope for interpretation or vagueness, otherwise you will lose band. So it is not a clear idea, and there is lack of a connecting device, cohesive device. It has to be moreover. Okay, the cohesive device is wrongly used over here. And finally, coming to this point number 5 is somewhat related to point number 4. Here the idea was less specific. Here the explanation was less specific. It can be improved. Schemes such as, now if you read this sentence, you will realize that promoted other beneficial schemes. So, what are the beneficial schemes? You can just pick a few points from here and write better road infrastructure, stronger policing in order to make it a bit more specific. The conclusion of this essay was fine. You can click on the link below to go through the article and put your comments over there. So these were my takes on this essay, some of the important points that needed to be discussed. If you like this video, share it, let your friends know, and keep coming back for more interesting stuff. Thank you for watching.